We're live, baby, baby! What is good, churritos? It is Monday, the 29th of May. We are here with another churros for all our loyal listeners, for everybody, not just patrons. No, sir. We're out to the public today, boy, and we got a bunch of topics that I want to get through and discuss with you. Yes, I'm hoping to get a little bit of crowd participation. Why not? It is churros. It's the beginning of the week. So let's get down dirty, shall we? Let's talk a little something. What's this over here? Let me press this button. Everybody, yeah, listen up. It is June 28th and I'm on the drop. It's the June 28th version. That's not the one I want. One more time. If it's not working, I'm out. Everybody, yeah, listen up. It is June 28th and I'm on the drop. Another June 28th. Well, it's definitely not that. In fact, what it is Monday the 29th, I believe it is. The 29th of May. Is it the 29th of May? Yes, it's the 29th of May. And a shout out to everybody that is over in Keon's region of the world, Nova Scotia, if I'm not mistaken. They are experiencing serious forest fires, and it is the reason why Keon isn't here today. He had to be evacuated. Him and his family, they are safe. I don't know if he's mentioned this on his Managing Madrid podcast, because in the meantime, check this out. So they got told to evacuate and to only take their prized the necessities, the most necessary of possessions. Wifey is packing the bags with diapers, essential clothing. Keon is upstairs packing his podcast equipment. That's called commitment to the pod. That being said, they did have today off, so he is out with the kids are not in school, so he was out and couldn't attend to the podcast, seeing as he thought that that I would be unable to make it. I will not be able to make Fridays, the Patrons podcast, but I said I was gonna would be able to make this one. So miscommunication, all good, nothing to worry about whatsoever. Instead, what we said was, why don't I start some topics, and then maybe he can finish the topics, or just do a part two. He might invite our friend Ewan, Jeremy, somebody onto the podcast. Why not a colchonero to talk a few other things? And in the meantime, I also wanted to get through a bunch of topics with you guys. For those of you watching the replay, you see the titles, you see it correctly. It does say Hasta Luego, Camp Nou, and it does say. In fact, I want to change this title right here. Goodbye, old friend. No, it's not a goodbye. Es un Hasta luego, amigo. Because, yes, yesterday in the Spotify Camp Nou, Barça played their very final game in what is the Camp Nou as we know it. The renovation, the restructuring of the entire stadium and the entire area, you should say as well. I mean, the entire block, the whole neighborhood will change. This Les Corts will no longer be what we know it to be, because that's it for the next year and a half, at least until November of 2024. Barça will play in Montjuic in the Estadio Lluís Companys, the Estado Olímpic, the Olympic Stadium that is so beautifully placed on the Montjuic mountain. Has a beautiful view. I believe the capacity was 60,000. So we have to take a bit of a hit there and make a stadium that is not our home. In fact, was the home of the now new addition to the second division, Espanyol. It was once their home before they moved to the RCDE Stadium in El Prat. The Olympic Stadium, of course, where the inauguration, the 92 Olympics were held. Yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. So I wanted to discuss a few things. The laying of the brick. The symbolic laying of a brick. And I always get funny images in my head when I say, "Go lay a brick." I've had a bunch of Scottish South African friends that use that expression to take a deuce, dump, to do number dos. El numerito dos, ¿sabéis? You know, the number two. They say, I've got to lay a brick, or something along those lines, anyway. And so the laying of the brick, you know, is also symbolic, of course, of placing the first stone, or, you know, poner la primera piedra. It was a time capsule. All of the club representatives, or representatives of different sections. You had two players from the youth teams, boys and girls youth teams. You had Melanie Serrano of the women's team, Busi for the men's, head coach Xavi, Presi, Asensi, the president of the Player Association, were all there to symbolically place objects of value, symbol, of symbol, like that were symbolism, that had symbolism in them, objects of symbolism. Classic. Placed them in the box, and this box was buried pitch side of the Camp Nou as, again, a symbolic gesture of it being the first brick being laid. That will be El No Camp Nou, El No Spotify Camp Nou. El No Spotify Camp Nou. I guess maybe there will be a change in name as well. That will hopefully happen as in the inauguration of the No Camp Nou on November of 2024, where it should hopefully coincide with the 125th anniversary of our beloved club, Fútbol Club Barcelona. And we'll be able to play a fantastic inauguration game around December, when the exact date will fall, and to welcome the new era. Yesterday was the old era, the closing of a certainly very beautiful era, illustrious era, a successful era. There were 8 shirts that came out in representation of the successful eras that Barça has enjoyed playing in the Camp Nou. I'm trying to see if I can find it. It was I remember seeing 92, of course, Johan Cruyff, Dream Team 09, 2015, 74, 92, 09, 2015, 74, the arrival of Cruyff, getting 4 of the last. Well, this year, I believe it was 2022. Let me just look it up. Going out of blank here. Here it is. Here it is. I took a picture. This is very blurry. I can't see. Hold on. Okay, let me do this chronologically. 57, inauguration of the Camp Nou, of course. 68, 74, 05, 85. 92, 09, 2015, and 2022, correct. So, all representing different eras, beautiful eras, or that had meaning, that had value to the making, the history of Barça, but certainly also the history of the Camp Nou. And they did the sardeñas, right? The folkloric dancing of the Catalan culture. They had a dance that you see as well sort of take place when Barça win the title. They make the big circle and they run around in a circle. They do the dance. And of course, it was the goodbye as well of the team captains. Sergio Busquets, highly successful player. In case you didn't know, let me tell you about the Sergio Busquets guy. He was very good. Changed the game. The holding midfield hasn't been the same since. He's the best. And Jordi Alba as well, very successful. Arguably the best left back in the history of Fútbol Club Barcelona. I'll always go with Sergi Barjuan. No, Barjuan is certainly up there. I don't know. You know, this is not the podcast where I'm going to get into whether it's Barjuan, whether it's Alba, whether it's whoever it might be. Eric Vidal. There's a case to be made there. Oh Jesus. And fireworks, the whole nine. Finish on a high, baby. The club managed to finish on a high. What has been a very difficult season. Of course, needed to get back to winning ways as well. Did so, in very good fashion against Mallorca, who had nothing to play for, to be quite frank. But you know, Aguirre has been handling business. Um, why is the mic not holding up? And we saw Ansu Fati score 2 goals. So do I need to talk about this? It's been in the press, or it's been leaked. It's been rumored by a certain journalist that is apparently close to Xavi that the 5 names of the players that Xavi is not counting on will already. I'm going to put the camera, the view here. Otherwise, I'm never looking into the camera. I want to look you in the eye, not at myself. I have a tendency to. We all have a tendency to just kind of shift our focus to us. I want to focus. Look at you guys, and so the 5 players that Xavi will say bid farewell to, or will basically say thanks for your services, buddy. You're a good guy and all, but either these are the needs, necessities of the club, and for me, it's okay if we move on and take different paths. Those are. Should I name them? I guess I should name them if I can remember. Well, some won't be much of a mystery. Franck Essier is one that is whose name is being put out there. The reason being, Xavi's very happy. Again, this is all reporting to this journalist, and maybe I should. It will be good of me to name him as well, and I will get to doing my job as a responsible journalist by naming the sources, at least those sources that are claiming to be other sources that are close to sources who sources sourcify, seeing flying saucers. Hence the alien part of this podcast. No, but it was from La Copa, if I'm not mistaken. Bear with me is all I can always ask for these podcasts, where time is of the essence. I cannot waste a lot of time when it's cold outside. Let me just get to it in a minute, okay? The names are Franck Essier. The reason being, according to this journalist, is because money necessities. The club are in need to continue to lower the salary cap, and the Franck Essier is a player that came on for free. Therefore, it might be simply out of, again, necessity that Barca are willing to entertain / accept an offer for the now holding the defensive mid of Barca, Franck Essier. Okay, moving on. The other player that reportedly is up on the chopping block, so to speak, is Pablo Torre. However, according to the journalist, it would be una cesión, a loan, and is a player again that also, right now in the case of Pablo Torre, the market value would probably be not hugely significant. The club still believe in that he is a prospect, a future prospect, and they would see it with good eyes, as I translate badly once again from Spanish directly into English, a transfer, a loan spell of this player to another team that would, where he would get more minutes and yada yada yada. We know all these kinds of stories. So we'll have to wait and see whether that would happen. Next one is Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres, again, a player that came, yes, with, we could say, a hefty fee, right? And Barca had to pay, reportedly, it was around the 55 million mark, if I'm not entirely mistaken. So the fact that this is a player that has a market value, as in, like, certainly has certain could have certain people interested in him. The primary, you know, target market for this player would be the Premier League, a Premier League that enjoys, having healthy budgets. Let's say a league as well where Ferran Torres, yes, is experienced in. Yeah, of course, with Manchester City. Despite what people say, people point out, well, he was on the bench for Pep Guardiola. Obviously, I mean, he had a lot of competition as well with top quality players in front of him. It was hard for him to break out there. Despite all that, his numbers were good, statistically speaking. Goals to minutes ratio, goals to shot ratio. It's all these things were very good there. So he could have some suitors. He could have some. It wouldn't surprise me if he has, sort of mid-tier table teams in the Premier League, upper tier, mid upper tier table teams that are interested in him. Javi Miguel, okay, Javi Miguel, the journalist reporting for Diario AS, is the journalist that put this out there. And there, I've named the source. I can now focus once again on you, the audience. What a terrific audience. What a terrific audience. Right now, I believe one person is watching. We are live, folks. We are live on D-Spot, the trusted channel, before posting the audio of this on the channels where you normally listen to this podcast. The Spotifys, the Apples, But D-Spot is where it all began, and that's where I'm streaming from live. Make yourself heard, one watcher. Don't be shy. Why don't you fire off a question if you have any, and I will try to figure out where I can read that. In the meantime, let me continue. I've named 4. Frank Essien, Pablo Torre, Ferran Torres. 3 I've named. The 4th one, the one that hurts the most, Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati is apparently one of these players that could potentially leave the club if the offer is right. A player that, of course, comes from La Masia, the number 10, the player that we all hold so dear to our hearts, player we certainly don't want to see go. I say we because I believe I speak for the majority in that I don't want to see Ansu go, and it's going to pay me if and when he does. Was there a sense of melancholy, a sense of emotion, sadness perhaps, as Ansu Fati got back to scoring a brace against Mallorca, as he was looking to the stands with this sort of reminiscent look of, what once was and what no longer is and might never be again. Was it Ansu's last game in a Barca shirt at the Camp Nou? I don't know. That is what Javi Miguel of AS is saying. I hope not. I hope that Javi Miguel is wrong on this one. Considering that, again, reportedly he is close to Xavi, it would seem odd to me that Xavi leaks this to a Javi Miguel and says, go ahead, have a field day with this, and I don't mind if you put these players out on blast on your social media account. But, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even really want to entertain it. I don't want to think about it. Let's hope it's not true. Could I see it happen? Yes. I can see it happen. Again, it's a player that, of course, cost the club nothing in the sense that he's from La Masia. Very young. Still has several years left on his contract. Still until 2027, I believe he was the player that renewed the longest. Might be 26. 2026, I'm not entirely sure. Massive buyout clause. So, and I would like to believe a lot of suitors, a lot of clubs that would fancy the services of a very young and, in my opinion, very capable and talented Ansu Fati that would murder on the wing, on the left wing. So even as a striker. I mean, I just hope he stays. Could I see him go? Yes. For how much, man? It would have to be a nice little sum of money, right? It would have to be a very hefty sum and a decent sum to take our Ansu away from us. We'll see if it happens. I might be missing out on a player. I don't really know. Um, there were 5 being reported. I can only remember 4. Churros! What else happened on? Dude, the Balde injury. Thank goodness it's torn ligaments in his ankle. I say thank goodness because that was a nasty one. That was a nasty one. He's gonna be out for 6-7 weeks. I'm hopeful. Then I believe that also that it completely rules him out for the Nations League. I don't want the boy to play any tournaments. Put it on ice. Chill out by the pool, the beach. Do what you got to do. Nurse, save that energy. Nurse that injury. Do it right and come back for what's going to be a crazy, crazy difficult season next season. So, Balde, the bad news of what was otherwise a very emotional night and successful night, a good night, a historic night at the Spotify Camp Nou. With this, I kind of want to close the Barca topic. How long have I been going here? Because I have a little surprise in store. I don't necessarily expect everybody to stick around. The reason I say that is because I want to go a little bit off topic. The season is winding down. So is my interest in football a little bit, or this season, let's say. Could I talk about Espanyol going down? Sure. I thought they got hard done by, if I'm really being honest, in that game against Valencia. That disallowed goal should have definitely stood. And with that, they've, had some bad decisions go their way. Also, having said that, Pericos cannot complain too much because they did try to murder or at least severely injure 23 players and the coaching staff a couple of weeks ago when, who was it? Oh, yeah, Barça. We came and played and became champions over in El Prat, and they jumped the fences, charged us, literally chased us out the stadium. So, and they did without any ramification. So for them to complain, that La Liga has something against them or anything of the sorts is a little bit comical or laughable to me. Yes, they definitely got bad decisions this time around, but they should have also severed other punishments, say, or ramifications of other actions. And quite frankly, I mean, this season, after already having gotten the taste of the second division just a couple of seasons ago, to now climb out of it and fall back down directly again, it seems like the good people at Espanyol, led by what's the owner's name again? I forgot. Churros. In the interest of not making any, potentially offensive remarks, by pronouncing last names wrong, I'm just going to plead ignorance on this one and say I forgot. But now I'm losing my train of thought. Anyway, yeah. So what I was trying to say is that they need to do practice a little bit of self-criticism, I would say, and try to learn from past mistakes and do things better moving forward. I understand that is easily said in this somewhat comfortable chair than done. What did I want to talk about? Bayern becoming champions of the Bundesliga once again? God, Dortmund. God, I really was rooting for you guys as well. All you needed was a win. No, I don't want to talk about that. Do I want to talk about Barça Athletic beating Logroñés and advancing to the playoffs? Clásico inside, baby. We're gonna have a 2 mini Clásico. That's gonna be fun in the fight for promotion to the second division. Barça Athletic will face Castilla Real Madrid in what should be a very two-legged knockout round, where I think in the case of Barça we face Eldense. We then go head-to-head between Eldense and Celta de Vigo B. if we manage to beat Castilla, which I understand is a tough ask. Kian cannot rave enough about it. So I'm hopeful for Rafa Marquez's side. Let's see. It will be very fun, of course, if this side, this Barça Athletic side led by Rafa Marquez would make it to the second division. And what better way than to kick the asses de los Blanco and over two legs. So let's see if that's going to happen. But I didn't want to talk about that neither. Well, what did you want to talk about, Diego? Please, put us out of our suspense. Well, my dear followers, my dear listeners, what I wanted to talk about was aliens. Yes, aliens. And why did I want to talk about aliens? Well, because, first of all, I am super fascinated by the topic. I cannot get enough of the topic. Some people dismiss it as mere conspiracy theories. However, I think you're just still being ignorant if you're being so dismissive of this by branding it a conspiracy theory. 26 minutes of football, and we're going to have now about another 20 minutes of a little bit more probably of alien talk. And the reason being why is because it's a topic of interest of mine. I hugely enjoy it. I think it's more than just a conspiracy theory. I think it's being proven that, yes, indeed, UFOs with extraterrestrials manejándolos, flying them around, are within our cosmos, within our universe, within our solar system, within our planet, I would go so far to say. And I think they've been doing that for many years, for centuries. I think the evidence continues to stack up. Also, mind you, for all those that are now bored or that don't want to listen to this topic, thank you for sticking around. We'll see you on the next Churros, coming to you on Thursday or Friday for patrons only. Mind you, I'm not going to be there, so I will see you next week. But for those that want to continue to listen, thank you. And what I'm going to be playing for you is something that, in fact, a Churros community member, a valued one for that matter, sent to me. I'll not mention his name just to save his, to keep his name private, out of respect for him. He is a aerospace engineer, if I'm not mistaken, a pilot as well, a retired pilot. He often is so kind to share with me topics about whether it is the universe, the solar systems, the entire cosmos, and as well, just recently, this talk with a Dr. Gary Nolan on a channel called SALT. Now, SALT, to give you guys a little bit of context here, is a global thought leadership and networking forum where they talk about anything from finances to public policy, technology, etc. On this episode, I was unfamiliar with it, okay? On this episode that we're about to listen to, and I'll be reacting to it in real time. So they've invited Dr. Gary Nolan to come on. He is a Stanford University professor, and I think, let's just have a listen. I'm going to react to it in real time. It's 18 minutes long. So I'll try to keep my interjections short and sweet as we listen to this talk between Dr. Gary Nolan and the host called Alex Klukus, as they discuss the extensive research that Dr. Nolan has done within the history of UFOs and sightings and signs of extraterrestrial life, including on this Earth. I'm very excited to listen to it. According to Dr. Nolan, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that proves that aliens have been here on our planet for a very long time. What technology is likely being used, the role of the U.S. government in facilitating information as well, and again, I'm excited to have a listen. I hope that this will come across clearly. I always love listening to people like this that have all of the credibility behind them. Like, who are we to be dismissive and to scuff it off as saying, conspiracy theories? Jeez. Whatever. Yeah, sure. And pigs fly. While, these very studied, reputable, high-ranked officials and people from all walks of life, that come with just this overwhelming amount of evidence, whether it be eyewitness accounts or, in this case, the research and study that this Dr. Nolan has done. So I'm excited to listen. Again, thank you to this very valued Churros y Tácticas community member, Patreon member as well, a patron that has shared this with me, from me to you. Let's take a listen, enjoy. And for those that have already signed off, we'll see you in the next Churros.
Hello, everyone. Every year, I have the good fortune of bringing someone really special to SALT. Someone that is
so it starts off with a little introduction, Alex,
but very consequential. And today, I'm very excited to welcome Dr. Gary Nolan with us. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Today, we are going to talk about aliens.
Love it.
And Gary, well, before we get into this topic, I figure it would be helpful to qualify yourself.
Good.
Because you are going to make some very bold statements here today.
Dismiss
and
the skeptics.
I would love for people to understand why they should believe you. And so perhaps can you give a little bit of your background?
Sure. So I'm a professor in the Department of Pathology at Stanford. The primary research work in my lab is cancer, immunology, virology. We also do a lot of work in biothreat. So we've worked with Ebola, Zika, COVID when it was a big problem. Primarily the work in my lab is the development of instrumentation and algorithms to understand the complexity of the immune system in cancer. And in the process of doing that, we've created any of a number of technologies which we've spun out into companies. It's now 9 companies, 2 of them are on NASDAQ. And these immunology instruments are used pretty much around the world in almost any advanced immunology analysis and work.
Fascinating, Understood. But what does it have to do with alien?
I'm curious.
Right?
Do you believe that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth?
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time, and it's still here. And it has basically, people talk about the wow signal, looking for extraterrestrial intelligence. The wow signal is that people see it on an almost regular basis. That's the communication that's already here.
And that statement seems so incredible that it's tough to believe. Definitely. Right? Like, people hear that, and maybe a lot of people hear that, and they don't believe it. And so I'm curious.
Keon doesn't believe it.
If you had to assign a probability to that statement, that you believe extraterrestrial intelligence has visited this planet, what probability would you assign?
100%. And that's not just my opinion. I mean, look, the National Defense Appropriation Act, passed last year, signed by Biden in December. 30 pages of that is the establishment of an unidentified aerial phenomenon office, the establishment of looking into the harm that's happened to any of a number of the individuals, going back to 1945 and looking at the disinformation and misinformation that has been basically articulated over the decades. 12 U.S. senators have signed on to a document that basically says we want the information. The establishment of an office, ARROW, in the Department of Defense, has 25 people working in it right now. And what's their goal? Collecting the information across all of the U.S. Department of Defense intelligence offices, and collation of that into a uniform format for the very first time, and provision of that then to Congress. The creation of a whistleblowers program specifically that allows people from within, I'm going to say this, who've been working on the reverse engineering programs, reverse engineering of objects, so that they can come in and break their oaths, but it's specifically just to talk to Congress and give that information in classified settings. And
People
that
like
the
Bob
most
Lazar.
recent one that happened was just last weekend, and it created quite a hornet's nest in Washington.
And so let's just create kind of like a logical framework here. So we start at the top. We say now there's 100% probability that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited Earth. Now we have to go down to why that statement may be true, why you believe that statement is true. What is the evidence? And I think perhaps we all may have to read between the lines a little bit here. You may not maybe divulge everything, but in your opinion, what do you believe to be the most compelling evidence to support?
I love it. Hearing things like that, I get goosebumps, and I've been, out of sheer, self-interest, it's a hobby, informing myself through documentaries, articles, famous New York Times article, different ones that have come out over the time to kind of educate myself on this topic. Religiously watch as well anything that Jeremy Corbell puts out, obviously Joe Rogan over the years, and then hearing these eyewitness accounts from high-ranked pilots, army officials, and now somebody like this makes these kind of claims, these bold statements, man. I'm like, why would they risk their neck, their entire reputations? Why would they put themselves out there like that if there wasn't a grain of truth? A little bit. And I'm not saying that all the sightings are real, but I just need one to be real in order to say, you see, there it is. Now what? let's meet them. Let's meet. I want to what are the next steps? I mean, so many questions will come to mind. How long you guys been here? If they are, I can't wait what he has to say. I hope that this is interesting for the listeners. It certainly is for me. Like I said, I don't expect the vast majority of you to stick around. I don't even know if this will be able to be going up if it's not a copyright infringement of some sort on the different channels. But I'm going to continue. Maybe I won't do the whole, we're 4.5 minutes in. Actually, I need to. I don't know if I'll be able to make the whole thing, but let's see where this goes. I'm having a good time, but I do have to do something in about 10 minutes. So let's see.
Well, I think the most compelling evidence is you just need to look at what your government is doing right now about it. I mean, just go and look at the number of politicians, and this is interesting, on both sides of the aisle who have come together and signed off on this statement. I mean, I was involved last year with putting together some of the wording of the NDAA, which was passed into law. So what are they basing their opinions on? They're basing their opinions on the dozens of individuals who, in one manner or another, have come forward and talked to them in classified settings. So that's the first thing. Then my personal experiences with the individuals the one person who actually was involved with collecting a lot of that original information, and then my experience with people who, frankly, I know have worked or are working on the reverse engineering programs.
Okay, so let's take one step back. Reverse engineering programs
of downed craft. Now, the first question that people will ask is, well, if they're so frigging advanced, why are they crashing? Because what's crashing is not actual living things. I mean, I use this example a lot. If you wanted to study a tribe of cannibals in the middle of the Amazon, are you going to go yourself and show up in the middle of the tribe and not hopefully become dinner on the other side of it? So if you're an advanced intelligence, I don't think we're all that advanced, frankly. You're not going to basically put your life and limb at risk by coming here. So mostly what you're seeing here are either drones or some sort of advanced AI or whatever it is. I mean, look, we're already dealing with an alien intelligence in our own emails, right? Our own, Chat GPT, et cetera. We don't even know what it's doing. So imagine if you were a million years ahead of us. How do you have a dialogue with something like that? Or what is it that could possibly do?
Yeah, and I'm glad that we've got some people here to witness these statements. I think they're very consequential. And so We start with now 100% probability of extraterrestrial intelligence. We go to evidence. We now talk about downcraft. We see the government moving in a certain direction. Presumably, the downcraft is made of some material. Presumably, we could test that material. I know you've done a little bit of work firsthand. You have seen some material. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Right. Well, so what is it that you hope to discover out of a material? So let's just go back, just briefly, and why would you want to do it in the first place? So basically, a grain of silicon, back in the 50s or 60s changed our entire culture and world, right? So something as small as that, the discovery of what you could accomplish with a little piece of germanium doped with the right elements, changed our understanding. Now, so we have multiple simultaneous sensor systems that have seen these objects go from 50 feet above the water to up to 14 miles and then back in less than a second, all right? That's just a truth.
Yeah.
The U.S. government has confirmed that these kinds of measurements are done. Now, they're very careful what they say. They say, well, we have no evidence of ET. Well, because, no ET is going to come walking in here and say hello.
I kind of wanted that.
But if you read between the lines on the flip side of it, it does stuff that we can't do. We know that the Russians and the Chinese are not doing. And so if you can go from 0 to 5,000 miles an hour and take a right turn and not end up squished like a bug on the windscreen on the other side, if they have windscreens, then what is the physics that accomplishes that? So what that tells you is that we need to rethink our physics, first of all, to say that, well, we saw birds fly, so it took us 3,000 years when we figured out how to fly. But now we see these things doing this. So what is it that lets us do? So I know some of the physicists on the inside who work at some of these big defense corporations who basically go, oh, well, here's how you tweak even general relativity to accomplish that. But then you say, well, how much energy is needed to do it? Well, more than the whole nuclear output of the planet per day, per movement. So you start to backtrack and you say, okay, well, who could do that? Well, we can't.
No.
Will we be able to do it in 1,000 years? But if we had a piece of any of this, let's say it's 1,000 revolutions ahead of us, or 1,000,000 revolutions ahead of us, even a tiny piece of knowledge from that could revolutionize what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, sure.
I'm always looking for the opportunity. I look at the upside of this. I'm not worried about them coming and raiding us or taking our women and children. That's not my concern. My concern is how do we use it?
Yeah. And I'm curious, do you have confidence that us
just give it to me,
will have material, literal physical material to evaluate, to analyze?
Yes, 100%.
100% again. Okay.
It's there. I can say this. I was working with a group about 7-8 years ago, and I literally got within a few weeks of gaining access to one of the objects. And when the people who didn't want us to gain access to it found out about it, they pulled some bureaucratic administrative tricks and snatched it away.
Wow. And so now we have you, Dr. Nolan, making this bold statement. You are well positioned to make this statement. Now maybe we get into some fun. Let's feel comfortable hypothesizing a little bit as to what is happening. What is it, right? And nobody's going to hold you to this, right? Now maybe we go down from 100% probability to now we're speculating,
right?
Okay? Now let's speculate together. What do you think it is?
Right. So to do that, I'll start with kind of a mantra I've had for the last
pretty soon. I'll give it another couple minutes, but we're definitely not going to get through the
individual
whole
experiences of what people see as an anecdote, but an anecdote doesn't convince a scientist. What is it that convinces a scientist? Data. Right? What doesn't convince scientists? A conclusion. So really the objective here, and what has allowed me to actually talk to some of my scientist colleagues who first said, Gary, you're going to ruin your career. Well, okay, whatever, it's too late for that. But I haven't.
Applause for Gary.
Because I basically say, look, if you and I can agree that the data is real, irrespective of what the potential conclusions might be, the hypotheses, then the onus is no longer on me to come up with an answer. Now it's also on you, because we're having a discussion about this. So it's believe the data, not the conclusion. Yeah. So you see the data, and that's where the fun is. That's where the hypothesis starts.
Right.
So people have come up with all kinds of ideas. Everything from future humans, future AI coming back to us because somehow they figured out time travel, to what's called the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis that they are part of. I'm sure some people here at least know what a von Neumann probe is, right? This idea of a self-replicating machine that could have been developed by a technology or a civilization on the other side of the galaxy that even in just a few 100 million years could make its way by conventional means all the way across the galaxy. And when it gets there, it basically builds copies of itself and it does what it's doing, and it basically, some other civilization sent it out. Now, Avi Loeb was here last year, so I'm part of an SAB with Avi Loeb on a company called Copernicus Space Corporation.
Yo, SOB.
And guess what? Our objective is to build the first von Neumann probes to go out and spread humanity's original presence across all of reality. So that's one of the
volunteer.
A third one is,
what do you, Dr. Nolan? You have to speculate. What do you think it is? Let's be bold.
I think it is an advanced form of intelligence. Here we go. Something that we don't understand, that is using some kind of intermediaries, however it is, like I said about you're not going to end up in the middle of the tribe, the angry monkeys that are flinging muck at each other, or nuclear bombs. You're not going to show yourself in the middle of the ambulance. You're going to send intermediaries. It's not that they walk amongst us, that wearing a skin suit are actually the alien. Right? No, you're going to basically put something there that is, I think of it as an intelligence test. Can you see what's in front of you for what it really is? Yeah. Can you see the anomalous data point that is there that you realize what it is? I mean, when the South American native tribes first saw the Spanish ships coming across the horizon, they didn't realize what it was. They couldn't see it for what it was. So, this is, as I said before, this is the kind of the wow factor that they're showing up. They're saying, well, who amongst you are intelligent enough to realize what it is that you're looking at? Yeah. They don't have to land on the White House lawn. We can make the joke about, is there intelligence in D.C. at all? Right? You just need to show yourself enough to acculturate. Yeah. Now, if you've been around for a long time, and this is something that I do think has been, they've been around for a long time, they are affecting our culture. Right? It's actually often thought that many of the religions that we think of as the most important have been part of this process.
I mean, there are so many tangents to go down. We have about 1 minute and 4.
We actually only just 4 minutes left. I do have to bounce. I gotta run. This is fascinating, though. I'm gonna leave these last 4 minutes to myself. 7:15. I gotta get on another call. So, I hope this was enjoyable. Definitely just reinforces my belief that we are not alone. They are here with us. We were never part. We always in my heart. All right. And I want to thank the Churros, Value Churros member. Again, I'll leave him anonymous, or her. But thank you for sending me this link. Keep sending that stuff, the articles, everything that you get your hands on. I am fascinated by this. In fact, I'll even say this much. I said it on Churros. UFO Hunter. My series coming to you soon. Hopefully. Truly hope so. Who knows? Maybe in the future, huh? Maybe you'll see me one day on the History Channel. UFO Hunter with Diego Logan. I would love it, man. It would be another dream come true. Not gonna lie. Thank you guys for Churros, for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this once again solo sesh. A little bit different, with the D-Spot flavor. You know how I like to do it. And thank you for all of you that stuck it here until the end, stuck it through. Make sure that you stay tuned for tomorrow, because Churros will continue tomorrow with Kian Sobani. He will record from his interim home, let's call it. And he might bring on a guest, he said. So I'm going to put forward these talking points. I'm going to assume he's going to step around the alien topic and just be dismissive of it. Call it a conspiracy. But he knows one day an alien will knock on his door. That's it. And he'll say, it was all a simulation. It was all a simulation. Or the successes. What am I do? We orchestrated it. We did. It was our lies. And we'll go full circle, and my conspiracy theories will have been proven correct. All right. That's it for me. I'm going to sign out. Thank you all. Make sure you give us a follow. Spread this to your friends. Have a wonderful week, and we will talk very soon. Peace out.